Hello everyone and good evening. I'm Don Arleth and welcome to Flash News. We begin tonight with some changes in the approach to the pandemic situation in Poland. They will come into force in just 1 week. 4 weeks before Christmas, shopping malls will be reopened, among others, and schools will continue remote learning until the Christmas holidays. Here's more.
After 3 weeks of lockdown, this furniture shop will open for customers right next week. We, the shop assistants and the customers, we all have been waiting impatiently for the showrooms to open. We will do our pre-Christmas shopping also in shopping malls, which will operate under the highest center regime. In that time there will be 2 shopping Sundays, on the 13th and 20th of December. If the infection rate drops, a stabilization phase is expected. We present a comprehensive set of regulatory instruments which includes all details, all categories, regulations which will be introduced depending on the development of the pandemic. Until the 27th of December, teaching will continue in the remote system while gyms, aqua parks and on-site catering will be closed. Nationwide winter holidays will follow between the 4th and 17th of January without the usual winter camps for pupils. We hope to be able to restore on-site teaching after 18 January. The vaccine will be probably available in February. A large part of vaccinated population will help us break the infection chains. In the last 24 hours, 24,000 new infections were recorded, 574 people died.
A total lockdown in Austria. Entire neighborhoods in China are under quarantine and mass testing in Slovakia. These are just some of the ways the world is fighting the pandemic. Politicians around the globe invariably face the disturbing dilemma of what to protect more, people's health and lives or the economy.
A total lockdown continues in Austria and is going to stay in place until the 6th of December when mass testing will begin.
Massentestungen in Österreich.
This will provide an opportunity to locate large numbers of infected people and thus break the infection chains. Through very severe restrictions on testing, the government wants to save not only Christmas and December retail business, but above all the skiing season, which is crucial for the Austrian economy. We want to open again safely, that's important. For this to happen, however, we must test ourselves. In South Tyrol, Italians have already begun to test on a mass scale, also for fear of the consequences of a lockdown during the winter season. I'm here because I feel a responsibility to their relatives and the society. In Germany, despite the partial lockdown introduced at the beginning of November, the daily number of new cases in recent days is still going up. In 23 hospitals, overworked medical staff are supported by the army. We help in the cities where there is an emergency and where hospital wards may be closed due to staff shortage. In the United States, many Americans have chosen to travel before the coming Thanksgiving Day, despite the recommendations to the contrary. In the 200 million Pakistan, the official daily number of new infections is only 2,000, but unofficially it is many times more. Despite epidemic restrictions, hundreds of thousands of people attend the funeral of a radical Islamic clergyman, many of them without masks.
Now to Denmark, where hundreds of farmers went to the country's capital, Copenhagen, to protest the Prime Minister's illegal order to cull all the mink on fur farms. Earlier, a COVID-19 mutation was detected in mink, which, left unabated, could endanger the effectiveness of potential vaccines.
The rule of law has died in Denmark. These were the inscriptions farmers put up on their tractors. This is how they demonstrated solidarity with the affected mink farmers. It all began early in the month, where the Danish Prime Minister announced that 15 million animals had to be killed following the detection of virus mutations on some of the farms. However, the opposition parties have proven that the decision to kill mink, whether sick or healthy, had no legal basis except on farms where the infections had been detected and within a 7-kilometer radius of such places. In the wake of the scandal, the Minister for Food has resigned and the Prime Minister has sent an apology. The opposition is demanding a committee of inquiry to be put on the matter.
The Spanish government will build a camp for immigrants on Gran Canaria, the largest of the Canary Islands. For several months now, immigrants have flocked to the island en masse from Africa. The new center will have the capacity for around 7,000 people.
The immigrants would stay until Spain expels the illegal ones amongst them to their respective countries of origin. Only a few will have the right to political asylum. Madrid categorically rejects the possibility of transferring the immigrants to mainland Spain. Migrants are temporarily quartered in hotels and tourist resorts that have been deserted due to the epidemic. The local authorities protest, pointing out that the decision to commandeer the resorts was not consulted with hoteliers. They have also been pointing out that there are people with COVID-19 among the immigrants arriving on the island. According to the autonomous government of the Canary Islands, a total of 18,000 illegal immigrants arrived there between January and mid-November. This is 1,000% more than in the whole of 2019. Half of the arrivals are Moroccans.
A Dutch journalist has revealed a gap in the security procedures of the European Union's classified proceedings. Daniel Verlin hacked his way into a video conference between a group of EU defense ministers during their summit. The 31-year-old took advantage of a gross mistake made by the Dutch Minister of Defense.
This is a secret meeting of the European Union's defense ministers and an unexpected guest, a journalist from Dutch television, who was also very surprised to have been allowed to show up at such a video conference. The Dutch Minister of Defense was instrumental in that exploit. He published a photo with the login address and 5 of the 6 digits of the password. It turned out that once the correct PIN was typed in, there was no additional security. The journalist who managed to crack the code apologized for having disturbed the members and left the meeting after a few minutes. No top-secret topics were discussed at the session, but the EU officials pointed out that the meeting was in fact confidential and that information provided at it could be used by other countries, Russia or China. A spokesman for the Dutch Minister of Defense apologized on her behalf for providing information that allowed the access code to be broken.
Now to Italy for a spectacular discovery in Pompeii. The petrified remains of 2 people who perished in the Mount Vesuvius eruption have been discovered. Here are the details.
Both victims found in recent days are an incredible and extraordinary testimony of the morning, 25th of October, when the eruption took place. These 2 victims may have sought refuge when they were overwhelmed by the pyroclastic current at 9 a.m. This is where the devastation reached Pompeii. The high part of the city was completely destroyed, with everyone perished. For the first time in 150 years, such perfectly preserved remains of the victims were found, along with the belongings they had with them when they were engulfed in a wave of heat and lava following the Vesuvius eruption. The discovery was made a few days ago on an excavation site where work has carried out for 3 years now. Scientists know that the hands of the prone victims probably twisted in pain as they were caught by the heat wave and lava after the volcanic eruption. A fragment of textile lay next to them, probably a second coat or blanket.
There are places on Earth where one could say we're literally frozen in time. One such place can be found in western Ukraine, in the village of Wyshikovo to be exact, where blacksmiths still work like their great-grandfathers did generations ago.
There is a village hidden in the Carpathians far off the beaten track, but when you make it on rather substandard roads, you will come to see a world from centuries ago. This forge works like it did 250 years ago when it was founded. A gigantic hammer is driven by water from a nearby stream. Over the centuries, only the blacksmiths changed at the anvil, although they also seem to belong to the past. From the past they draw knowledge, which they transform into true objects with a soul. Farewell Beaujolais Nouveau, enter English Nouveau. The English praised the young wine. As unbelievable as it may sound, it was really produced in the vineyards of the Great Slope of Hereford Country in the west of England. Global warming has transformed the climate and with it growing conditions. The Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot varieties are doing great here, and this is what makes the English wine a high-quality beverage. At least, this is what the producers claim. Against all odds and to the comfort of hearts. At a stadium in the capital of Taiwan, Taipei, a show of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical The Phantom of the Opera took place. The international cast had to go through a 14-day quarantine before they were allowed on stage. Fortunately, no one was infected with the coronavirus, so the play could begin. Performances are scheduled until the 6th of December. To call them hats is to say nothing. They are simply works of art, so it's no wonder they have been exhibited at the Museum of Contemporary Art in St. Petersburg. The creator of these very original hats is Philip Tracy, an Irish hat maker who works mainly for show business stars and the world jet set. At the wedding of Prince William Kate Middleton, the heads of most of the ladies were adorned with his works. You can now see these wonders in St. Petersburg. Suriname, in eastern Thailand, is called the City of Elephant. It is here that a festival of these animals has been held every year for over half a century, attracting thousands of tourists from all over the world. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, there are hardly any foreigners this year, but the event takes place all the same. The organizers have not cancelled it because, as they explained, the elephants would not understand the reasons, thus all elephants at a glance.
The World Cup ski jumping season is kicked off and the Polish team took third place. Germany took first, followed by the Austrians. This year's opener is being held in Wisła. The next event is the individual competition.
The team competition inaugurating the season was held in Wisła for the fourth time and for the fourth time with Poles on the box. Just like a year ago when the white and red team landed third. It was quite okay, given a little bit slow start followed by solid jumps now. I think I'm quite happy with that. The competition was great, the whole team did a tremendous job. It was a great feeling to be a part of that team. A good result for the opening of the season is very promising, especially since all the jumpers will want to be in the best shape for the most important events. We would have liked this peak of form to be for the World Ski Flying Championship, then the World Championship in Oberstdorf, but this cannot be predicted. Every jumper always wants to perform well. In just 3 weeks' time, the World Flying Championship and at the turn of February and March, Nordic skiing. This will be complemented by the prestigious Four Hills tournament at the end of the season by Raw Air.
And with that, we conclude tonight's program. Have a great evening and see you again next time. Good night.